Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to tackle an idea that really flips centuries of tradition on its head. It asks a pretty simple but really profound question. What if the church was never meant to be a building at all, but was actually intended to be a form of government?
So, right out of the gate, the author hits us with this really bold claim. The idea is that for all its history, all its influence, the modern church is basically powerless. And honestly, that one sentence, it's the puzzle we're trying to solve here.
Okay, so where does this supposed powerlessness even come from? Well, according to the source, it all boils down to one single critical issue, a crisis of purpose. It seems there's been a massive misunderstanding of what the church is even supposed to be. I mean, think about it. The text points to 2,000 years of history. 2,000 years spent splitting into countless denominations, arguing over tiny details of doctrine, and holding on to traditions, often without even asking why. The author's takeaway? A whole lot of activity, but maybe not a lot of actual progress.
So, to really get what the author's solution is, we've got to first understand how they see the problem. And that all starts with taking a hard look at the common, everyday experience of church.
And this is where it gets really interesting, right? The source kind of paints the typical church experience less like a living, breathing community and more like a weekly ritual. It's a place you go, there are ceremonial things you do, and a lot of times the focus can drift to just appearances instead of forging those really deep, lasting connections. And let's be super clear here. The argument isn't about bad intentions. The text makes a point of saying most people are well-meaning. The real issue is a kind of blind spot, a general unawareness of the incredible power the church could have if it just broke out of this traditional mold. Okay, this is where we get to the absolute heart of the argument. It's the big, challenging idea that turns everything on its head. The author suggests we stop thinking of the church as a place, or even an organization, and start seeing it as something completely different. And boom, there it is, the core thesis. The church isn't just a religious institution, it's a parallel government. A real functioning alternative system for anyone who wants to live by a totally different set of rules, completely separate from the systems of the world. So why does this sound so weird, so foreign to us? Well, the author uses this really powerful metaphor to explain it. The argument is that we've all lived under flawed, man-made systems for so long that we've kind of forgotten what true freedom even looks or feels like. We're like birds born in a cage, We can't even imagine the sky. And when you put them side by side like this, the difference is just night and day, isn't it? On one side, you've got the governments of the world, which pretty much operate through control, hierarchy, and force. And on the other, you have what the author calls God's kingdom, a system built on free will, total equality, and trust in a higher wisdom. It's a system designed for freedom, not bondage. Okay, I know what you're thinking. This all sounds a bit high level, a bit abstract. So how would this thing actually work in the real world? What does the practical, day-to-day structure of this government of God even look like? Well, the structure the text lays out is surprisingly simple. You have elders who lead through wisdom and service, not by giving orders. Then you have deacons who handle all the practical, on-the-ground needs of the community. And the whole thing is built on this one absolute, non-negotiable rule. No one person has authority over another. And what this does is it totally flips the script on why you'd even gather in the first place. The focus shifts away from ceremony and completely onto action. The goals become super tangible. Taking care of people in need, loving your neighbor in a real, practical way, and actually treating others' needs as if they were your own. It's a model based on collective responsibility. Look, I get it. This sounds radical, maybe even a little too good to be true, right? So the text finishes up by tackling that big question head on. Is a community built like this really even possible here in the 21st century? And the answer the author gives is this really fascinating paradox. See, the world's way is complicated but easy. It's complicated because of all the rules and systems, but it's easy because it just plays to our natural human instincts. But God's way, it's simple but difficult. The principles are simple, but it's hard because it requires a daily, conscious choice to go against those very same instincts. So, at the end of the day, this analysis doesn't hand us a neat solution all wrapped up in a bow. It does something much more powerful. It leaves us with a question, a really big one, that's both personal and for all of us. What would it actually mean to build a community that's truly free from the lordship of man?